Hi, hello everyone, welcome back to a new video on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about kep1er and their short but intense career, where they've been labeled as overall unsuccessful and a failure. The group is going to disband on the 3rd of June, which is not surprising because it is a group that was created with the intention of lasting 2 years. In spite of that, ikon, which is their company, met with certain executives of the different companies of the girls to see if the contract could be extended, but finally it couldn't be done, I guess because there was no agreement between all the parts, and thank goodness. Disbanding is in my opinion the best thing that could happen to the group, and I am going to tell you the reasons. So, without anything else to say, let's start. As most of you already know, kep1er was created in the program Girls Planet 999, which was a survival program created by Mnet in which 99 girls of different nationalities fought to be part of the final group, and from this moment the problems started for kep1er, mainly because the program was very badly done, with horrible dynamics like the cells that made them lose many talented trainees that could have fought to be in the final group. If you didn't see the show, the cells were concepts that Mnet created in which trainees were put together in groups of 3 and during most of the show, they had the same destiny. To give you an example, if you wanted to vote for Jimin because you liked her a lot, you didn't vote for her, but for her whole cell, and they were eliminated by cells, so if you didn't have people in your cell who were popular, you would probably be eliminated without being able to do anything. Imagine how many talents were lost because of not having a strong cell. Not only that, but the show had a lot of malicious editing that generally made the Chinese trainees look bad. Maybe that's why only one ended up debuting, but honestly it was what saved the show from being so boring, because by now we all know that Mnet edits the videos to make certain contestants look bad. And honestly, I used to watch the show every week, and it was hard to watch. It was too lame. And in fact there is nothing wrong with survival shows, except that they are stressful for the trainees, but I mean survival shows well done can bring very good results. But well, that wasn't the case with Girls Planet, it was all controversy. With all the fooning insulted Eugene, small spoiler, all false. Mnet told her to do that, and the Hyuncuteyt only debuted because of her brother. Then the name of the group was horrible and the fandoms made 1,000 jokes about it. The show was a mess. But well, let's go quickly to the debut of the group because otherwise we would never finish. The group debuted in January 2022 with I-DLE, which is an electro-pop song that at first was not very well received by the public as it was a bit chaotic, and you could tell that the video clip had not had a big budget. In general there were complaints about everything, about the poor distribution of lines, about the concept that they tried to impose on planets that made no sense. Because the planets were supposed to be part of the concept of the group, that's why they are called kep1er, which is the surname of an astronomer, and why the program was called Girls Planet. But it seemed that they didn't know very well how to implement the astronomical concept, which ended up in a disaster. In spite of that, and as much as there was bad vision of the song and in the trends of worst songs of 2022 it always appeared, it got 3 wins, sold almost 400,000 copies, and entered in many charts that would mark the best positions of the group and sales in all their career. Most people will tell you it's their best song. There was also the song Mask that had a more elegant concept, and if you didn't like I-DLE, Mask was perfect. After that, they made what I think was the first big mistake of the group's career, taking them to Queendom 2. This is a show where already formed groups compete against each other, to see who is better and who wins gets a comeback paid by Mnet or something like that, like having a global comeback. And with this there are obviously a lot of problems. For starters, kep1er is already an Mnet group, and it seemed like they were taken there just because, since they clearly didn't have the experience needed to be on a show like Queendom. In the end they had just debuted and barely had any songs, which already put them at a disadvantage because most of the show is based on doing your own songs or those of the other participating groups, but they had 2 original songs and 3 that came from Girls Planet. In the end, they came in last place as expected because they were not prepared. They were trainees 2 months ago and were competing with already formed groups. with a lot of experience and powerful fandoms. In my opinion, taking them there brought them more bad things than good, with people seeing them as the daughters of Mnet, and it generated a lot of unnecessary pressure on the members who were rookies and were putting them on the same level as groups like Ioona. After that, they released Up, which is a very summery song that moved away from the concept of their debut, but it didn't do too bad as they won one win, but after that it all went super bad. They released another comeback called We Fresh, which was everything that people didn't like about I-DLE but 10 times worse. People said that it was too chaotic and too experimental. It seems that they wanted to go back to the concept of their debut, but it was too bad, so they changed the concept again. They went from electro-pop to bubble pop with Giddy, and by now we can already notice a pattern. 𝒉𝒏1 didn't know what they were doing. In fact, there is a theory that kep1er was a test group to later release Zero Base 1, and it wouldn't be the first time that Mnet first released the female version of something to see how the format works, and if it works, they did it for boys. kep1er's planning was null. In fact, I dare say that they had the songs ready before they knew the final members of the group. Another big problem they had was the timing of the group's comebacks. Do you know which groups did come back at the same time as kep1er released Up and We Fresh? BTS, EXO, Stray Kids, XG, Ioona, KARD, aespa, j-I-DLE, lesserafim and enhypen. Groups with a huge fan base and above all known to the general public, which meant that the public didn't focus on kep1er when they released new songs. People had to choose whether to pay attention to kep1er or, for example, Jin, who released his last song before leaving for 2 years. Obviously these rivals weren't too fair. And not only that, but with so many concept changes, not only did they lose a lot of fans who initially liked their music, but they lost more and more of their identity until they reached a point where any song could be a kep1er song. And I know it's hard to establish an identity in only 2 years. But definitely releasing Giddy after We Fresh doesn't help. kep1er has won awards and has had its recognition, but in the eyes of the general public, the group has been a failure because it has had no impact. They did not set a trend, nor did they set a strong foot. And perhaps comparing kep1er with IZ*ONE is unfair because it would lose out in aspects where perhaps it is not so bad, yet something clear is that people had very high expectations with the group. Perhaps if they had come from an unknown company, people would look at them with better eyes, but this is the situation that they have had to live, with its good and bad things. I guess the only thing left to do is to make a last song thanking for the years lived and that each one follows their individual path and try to be successful on their own, because it seems that continuing with kep1er will only lead to more bad decisions.
And this has been all. I hope you like it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did. It would help me a lot. See ya.